When Viltrox announced the latest trio of autofocus lenses for the X Mount, if I'm perfectly honest, the one that piqued my interest the most was the 56mm, and typically it's the one we had to wait a little bit longer for, but here it is. And I'm filming this intro with this lens wide open, which to be fair is something I never did with its nearest equivalent, the beautiful Fujifilm X 56mm. And I don't know, it seems to be doing a good job even in this fairly limited situation. But let's take a close-up look and see if this new 56mm stands up to the other three autofocus lenses from Viltrox that I own. And then maybe in another video we can talk about whether Viltrox really do have a winning set of lenses for the Fujifilm X user that doesn't want to spend top dollar but still wants to get a pretty nice result. Is it possible? Is it fair? Let's crack on. Warranty card. Instruction manual. Baggie. If you've watched the other videos about this, you'll already know what to expect. Very decent packaging, very tight packaging too. Wrongly or rightly, already feels a little bit, tiny bit chunkier than the previous. Nice metal lens hood. There she is. All metal, 290 grams. Nice snap cap there. 52mm filter thread, 0.6 meter minimum focus distance, 84.5mm full frame equivalent. So to all intents and purposes, your short telephoto, which technically begins at 85, but we're not going to split hairs over 0.5mm equivalent. Aperture range of 1.4 to f16. 9 aperture blades inside. Let's see how the manual focus ring feels. Although for me, not a big deal. Not using manual focus a lot with this sort of lens, but it's smooth, consistent, feels absolutely fine. Honestly, I felt much worse manual focus rings on dedicated manual focus lenses. Now over to that aperture ring. It does have the automatic past 16, which does have a little stop at 16, just a soft stop, and then a hard stop at automatic, round to the hard stop at 1.4. So smooth, click free. I think you already know how I feel about that choice, but there it is. 9 aperture blades, I think I said. 10 elements in 9 groups. That suggests there should be some nice quality to this lens, and the bokeh especially. Let's have a look at this end. Nice metal, decent quality mount. So far, build quality, packaging, presentation, thumbs up, but that's not what really counts. Let's check out some very random, unedited, uncropped stills, and yeah, we'll have a chat about it. As an almost short telephoto lens for just £329, there's a lot to like and less to dislike than the price would suggest, pretty much in keeping with the previous 3 autofocus lenses they made for Fujifilm. As with their 23, 33 and 85mm, the lens works just like a native lens from Fujifilm, with EXIF information in the file and with full autofocus. Now, as with the last two, I'm not a fan of the click-free aperture, and if that 13mm f1.4 comes out, let's hope it gets a D-click feature, or honestly, just a normal clicked ring, but I can't see it somehow. I get that they took a decision to make this range aiming it at the hybrid shooters, and it's not their fault that the Fujifilm system isn't particularly great at shooting with aperture changes during a video take, but I prefer clicks anyway. The biggest reason to consider this after price is the autofocus. The internet loves to complain about the autofocus of the older lineup from Fujifilm. So here it is. This is smoother, more accurate, and definitely faster than its nearest equivalent. However, the eye autofocus didn't seem to be totally up to speed in stills mode, but in video shooting such as this right now and the intro, it seems confident throughout. In low light, the autofocus is okay too. So here's a very quick, random, static autofocus test indoors, just to give you a little bit of an idea what we're working with. The lens is sharp enough for headshots. It's a touch off the Fujifilm 56, but it's sharp enough. I think you can see that in the samples. Now, there are no major problems with chromatic aberration and distortion for what I want to shoot. Flare is something to be aware of, but it's nothing off-putting there either. The 9 aperture blades mean that the bokeh is actually very usable. Is it as magic as the other lens? Maybe not, but it does a nice job. Bokeh shouldn't distract from the image, and it shouldn't really be the be-all and end-all of the shot. And I found it to be even, smooth, and sometimes it had kind of a vintage vibe to it. Now, stopping down, of course, makes most comparisons pretty irrelevant. But to be fair, you don't buy a 1.4 lens to stop down that often. But if that's something that you needed, maybe you need this focal length, well, this lens is a very good performer, especially stopped down. It really is down to how you will shoot it. And I will be taking it on my next wedding shoot this week. After my very random tests, I'm confident to take it into paid work if need be. Though, for what I shoot, the XF56 is superb. But the question, again, is it £600 more superb? That's another question, but here are some final unedited samples. It's clearly doing very well. Yes, it isn't perfect, but I think it could be used to produce some really nice images, especially for the Fujifilm shooter that can't or simply doesn't need to lay out around £1,000 for a lens of this focal length. In fact, the people that I shot those sample shots for have already used them in their social media on their business pages, and in the case of the first guy, on his team page. I do hope that Viltrox put out a firmware update soon so the lens plays better with face and eye detection. It was a little slow to latch on at times in still shooting, but that should be easy to improve in a firmware update. It does work though, but it could work better. Of course, the XF is king for image quality and is still one of the most special lenses in the Fujifilm X range. But is it worth 3 times as much? Well, it's down to your budget and needs, as we said, as is anything of this nature. Honestly, it's super cool that companies are challenging the market with more affordable lenses that aren't complete duds and in the right hands can be used for some serious photography and even video work. With so many coming into the Fujifilm system on a tighter budget, I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that will enjoy the lenses that Viltrox are putting out. So that's 4 autofocus lenses from Viltrox that we've tried out. Should you go for them? Is there a case to be made for a full non-Fujifilm branded set of glass? Could you live without the Fujinon lenses? Maybe we should talk about that in another video. For now, if you're out there, Viltrox, crack on and get that autofocus 13mm f 1.4 out. It's about time somebody did something different. Make sure to subscribe and I'll see you in the comments below.